What's going on, guys? It's Hoyes with another NBA 2K14 online episode. I didn't really have time to edit this video. I've been really busy, but I'm going to come back at you with a finish up the Eastern Conference of my series of playing with every team in every division in NBA 2K14 online. That'll be the New York Knicks, and that'll be next up, so you can look forward to that. And if you don't know, if you're new to my channel, I post gameplay commentaries of NBA 2K14 mainly. I do Call of Duty every once in a while, but not really. I'm mainly an NBA 2K guy. And so yeah, this is just some online gameplay with the Indiana Pacers. And the Pacers are the thing I want to talk about in this video. And this is going to be real-life Pacers, real-life NBA. And as you guys know, or you should know, the NBA is in full effect, full swing. It's been about a month into the season, I think. And right now, the Pacers are the best team in the NBA. And if you guys don't know, Pacers are my favorite team in the NBA. Always have been my favorite team. Always will be my favorite team. And barring, they move somewhere. But they're my favorite team, and they're really good this year. And they're 16-1. They're in the midst of a long road trip out west. And I don't know when this video is going to go up. I hope it'll go up on Monday, but I'm not sure. I'm recording this on Monday. I don't know if I'll be able to upload it. And it might go up Tuesday. They're on a long road trip. They just played the Clippers in a great game. That was one of the best games I've seen all season. And it really had the playoff atmosphere. And it was just a really good game if you didn't check it out. It was a great game if you didn't see it. But now they are playing the Trailblazers, I think, today. And then they play the Spurs in 2 days. And then they finish up with the Thunder on the road trip, and they come back home. Their homecoming, they play the Heat. And don't really want to talk about too much about their upcoming schedule. I just want to talk about how this is the year, in my mind, that the Pacers will finally win an NBA championship. Not finally. They haven't really been contenders for a while. And I've been thinking about doing a series called Contender or Pretender. Basically saying, what teams can actually win a championship. Because right now, the East, I'm looking at the standings right here. The East is awful. The Heat and the Pacers are the only teams with winning records. The next best team are the Hawks, who are at 500. And that was just awful. And if you take a look at the West, they have a lot better records and a lot better conference. So that'll work out in the Pacers and Heat's favor in the playoffs, because we all know it's pretty much going to come down to the Eastern Conference Finals between the Pacers and Heat once again, because right now I'm looking at the Pacers as the 1 seed and Heat as the 2 seed, and the rest don't really matter. They'll meet in the Eastern Conference Finals, and just like last year, it'll be a really exciting series. It was really exciting, and the Pacers, I just think this is the year they can take out the Heat. They want to take out the Heat. They've said before, they're not shy about it. They want to take out the Heat, and really, I think they can with the team they have right now, with all 5 starters, and they may not be big names, like George Hill and Lance Stevenson. They're not big names, but they are great players. And even though George Hill isn't your stereotypical point guard, he's not a great passer, but he can shoot. And really, I'm not trying to brag about him or anything, And Lance Stevenson's kind of interesting, you either get the bad Lance, which does way too much. He tries to do too much, and he ends up turning the ball over or having a bad shot, whatever. And sometimes you get the great Lance, though, which is the Born Ready Lance, which is a nickname if you guys don't know. And I don't know if you saw, he had a really nice driving into the lane behind the back pass, one of the best passes of the year, in my mind, to Paul George. But they also have Paul George and Roy Hibbert and David West. Now, Paul George is becoming a superstar. You heard Reggie Miller say it in the playoffs when George dunked over Chris Anderson. He said something like, this is the birth of a superstar, or this is a superstar in the making in Paul George. And that is absolutely true. He's in the top 10 in the NBA, not quite at the level of LeBron and Kevin Durant, but he's getting there. And if he works on a shot, he's already a great defender. He's a really good defender. And he can't shut down LeBron, but he can certainly slow him down. I'll admit, LeBron is really hard to stop. He is the best player in the world, but George can slow him down at least. and not a lot of players can slow down LeBron. And that's really the reason why the Pacers were so competitive in that series, was because James didn't get too out of hand, it didn't get too crazy and everything because George could contain him. But they also have Roy Hibbert and David West. Now, Roy Hibbert is a monster. On defense, he's averaging 5 blocks a game this year. And even when he doesn't block a shot, you can tell. I don't know if you guys watch the games, but you can tell how much of an effect he has on the game, because when players go into the paint and they see a 7'2" monster who's great at going straight up with his arms, because he doesn't get a lot of foul calls because he goes straight up. If he goes straight up, they won't call fouls. And because that, he has earned the respects of referees around the league, so they don't call his fouls as often because he goes straight up. And because of that, players don't want to go into the lane when they see a gigantic man standing in the lane that's going to block their shots. Same goes for David West. He's not a great shot blocker, but he's strong, and he can deal with anybody. Like, he pretty much contained Blake Griffin. I know Blake Griffin's a really good player, but yesterday in their game, he pretty much contained him, and Blake Griffin's a really hard player to contain. When they weren't getting lobs from Chris Paul, which the Clippers are amazing at that, I gotta admit, they are really good at lobs. But when he wasn't getting lobs, then he wasn't doing much, because David West is a great defender also. And that's the main thing for the Pacers, their defense. That's also why they can win the NBA Finals, is because they have the best defense in the league. I should get the stats in front of me, honestly, but I might do these more often, these kind of real-life NBA recaps, because I like talking about the NBA, but they're first in the league in total defense, total points given up a game. They give up like 87, and that's really, really good. That's how you win playoff games. You got to play defense, and the Pacers are playing defense, and the Heat are also great at defense. And they're just both. If Indiana can get a better offense, like, they have a pretty good offense, but if they can get even better, then that's going to help them tremendously. And another thing that's helped them is the bench. They have such. Oh my God, I just cringe thinking about the bench they had last year in the playoffs with. Mahimi, he did pretty well last year. He's a lot better this year. He's the only player back on the bench, because Orlando Johnson didn't play a lot last year, but Orlando Johnson's been doing very well this year. For someone that doesn't really get a lot of playing opportunity because of the injury to Danny Granger, which I'll talk about that in a second. But also the addition of C.J. Watson, Luis Scola, who is a great 4 player. He's able to start. I mean, he's a starting caliber big man, and he's coming off the bench. And that shows you the depth of the Pacers bench. And who is it? Well, really, at the small forward, I mean, Solomon Hill, the rookie, is doing pretty well, but George plays a lot of minutes, Paul George. And honestly, when Granger comes back, Granger will probably play the 3 on the bench. And that's what I want to talk about. I know I'm not expecting Granger to be what he used to be before he was hurt and when he was younger, which is a terrific shooter. He was such a good shooter, spot-up shooter, the leader of the team. I'm not expecting him to be that. I know he's older, and he had an injury, surgery, and he's been out for over a year. And if he can just give us some scoring off the bench, because that's our biggest problem for the bench, is scoring at times. Like, they are great defensively and everything, but just scoring is really a problem with them. But the way Larry Bird constructed this team, Larry Bird is one of the best GMs in the league. He's probably in the top 3. I mean, yeah, you got people like Pat Riley. I think he's the GM of the Heat, and I don't really know a lot of GMs. I just know Larry Bird because I'm a Pacers fan, obviously, and Larry he's an NBA legend. He's in the Hall of Famer for his playing days, and he's also a really great GM. And that's really why the Pacers, I think, can win the finals this year. And the only team I'm really scared of, the Heat. But the only team I'm scared of facing in the finals, honestly, is the Spurs and the Thunder. Now, Portland, yes, they have the best record in the West right now. I think they're in first place at 14-3. Yes, they are a good team, but they're a young team. They haven't been in the playoffs. That group's that's there right now has not been in the playoffs. And it's really tough your first time in the playoffs. That's the Pacers that when they got, of course, they were a pretty bad team. They got the 8th seed and played Chicago in 2010, 2009. But 2 years ago, when they were a pretty good team, they got like the 4 seed, 5 seed or something. They played the Heat in the second round, and they lost to them in 6. They played the Heat in the second round, and that's pretty much what the Blazers are going to be like this playoffs. They haven't been there. They haven't experienced playoff basketball. So I don't think, even though they have a good record, I don't think it'll last, and I don't think they'll also do very well in the playoffs because they're so young. But they are definitely up and coming, and they can definitely win NBA Finals in the future. The Thunder, just because of Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook, they're so explosive. They can score so many points. They're so fast. They're so good on the break. That's pretty much why I'm scared of them, just because of their scoring and everything, and they have a great home court advantage, their fans in Oklahoma City. And the Spurs, obviously, just because you saw it in the finals last year, until they lost to Miami, but saw it in the finals, just the experience they have. They're such an experienced group, and they've been there. Every situation you can think of, they've been through it, and that's really why they are so good in the playoffs. No other teams, Houston's all right, but I don't think they can do very well with just James Harden and Dwight Howard. Excuse me. And who else has a good record? Not too many other teams with a good record. The Clippers, I think it'll be Clippers, Oklahoma City in the second round, and I do believe Oklahoma City will win that one. And then San Antonio and Portland in another round, in the second round, and I think San Antonio will win that one. So, I'm not going to get too much into predictions, but that's pretty much what I think about the Pacers. I think this is their year, and if they want to win the championship, they have to capitalize on this year. And they'll be good for a while, though, because they're young talent. The only player that's really old on their team, that's a big factor. Scola is old, but, he's, like, it's fine if Scola, he comes off the bench. But David West, and he's not even very old. I think he's like 31. And they're a young team with lots of talent. They're eventually going to take over Miami and win an NBA Finals. So that's pretty much what I think. If you did enjoy this video, leave it a like and subscribe if you're new. And if you're interested in watching gameplay, then subscribe to my channel. So hope you guys enjoyed. And as always, I'll see you guys in my next video. I think I want to start doing these real-life NBA things. So let me know what you think. And as always, I'll see you guys in my next video.